Hello and welcome to another video. You're probably wondering why I'm smiling, and it's because I can see where it's all burnt in the back of the M3. So I'm sitting in the toasted marshmallow M3, which I'll cut to a couple of photos of it from the weekend. And if you've been following the vlogs for a little while, you'll know that I've been spending a lot of time working on this car. It was bought from auction. The car next to it actually burnt down, and this seat was completely melted to the ground. You can see all the carpet was melted. I had to cut it all out, and there's a bunch of cables and things here hanging in the roof. But we did end up, roof line is completely pulled out, and you can still sort of see there's the airbags, which are now disconnected, are completely melted. So this has been a project, and as many of you know, I'm really passionate about cars. I'm passionate about racing cars. I'm passionate about drifting, and I'm very passionate about crypto. So I try and bring a little bit of both sides of things. I have a hobby workshop that I spend a lot of time bringing these M cars back to life. A lot of them tend to get parted out and essentially thrown away, and I'm a big believer in the platform. And this weekend, taking it out drifting, looking the way that it looks. So. So I'll just jump out for a second and let's have a look. So we actually hit a barrier, cut to the video. We hit a barrier and you can hear me laughing. It's always the way. So the car itself on the other side is the good side. We've got a dent here, a dent in the door, and a dent in the guard. This is the good side. This is the good side, and a lot of people had a good laugh at the backside. This is how we drove it. So the boot was still very much attached. It was drifted very much with the boot all dented and everything. And as you can see from the photos, I'll throw another photo up on the screen. It just looks amazing. Like, you can see all of this melted plastic and the toasted marshmallow here. Just cooking tires sideways. It was just the best ever. The votes are in, and given that on its first outing I ended up running into a barrier, I'm not actually going to paint it now. I was going to paint it, and I'm actually thinking quite the opposite. I want to actually get a blowtorch and burn the other side and make the whole thing a toasted marshmallow. So yeah, what actually happened, for my drifting friends who would have been watching, you would have seen what happened. The car in front of me spun, and I didn't have enough seat time in this car. It was the first time I've ever taken it out. So I lifted. As soon as I lifted off the throttle, the car gripped up and pulled me left into the barrier and spun me around because my tires gripped. So it's a challenge driving a DCT car without a handbrake or a clutch pedal. If I was in the comp car, super easy to pull out of that. I would have grabbed the handbrake, foot on the clutch, and I would have just dragged and slowed down and would have completely missed that. In that scenario, I probably would have just switched back and drifted around that car rather than pulling up, because again, I've had so much seat time. I understand the limits of the S15, the purpose-built drift car, and I understand all of the limits and limitations of it. So it's just a bunch of learning. I had so much fun in this, and for a completely stock car with not even coilovers in it, it's just got standard coilovers, no knuckle kit or anything. It drifted amazing. I can't wait to take it out again. Alright, so this is a quick update video. What's actually been going on in the marketplace? BTC breached 28k last night, and we've got potential to see lower, 25, maybe 24k. Robert Kiyosaki is actually calling for 24k. If it gets that low, it's a really great accumulation opportunity, as that is very much in the accumulation range that I've been looking at on the charts that I've been plotting on. So there's a lot going on. China have banned mining actually, and the miners are moving.
Bye.
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 Bye. See ya.
There's global issues around energy usage, and I watched this really great video from Michael Saylor where he talks about how one quarter or 1/3 of the total energy created globally every single year is actually wasted because it can't be put into batteries or stored somewhere. It's actually just thrown away. And the amount of energy that Bitcoin uses is about 15 basis points based on global energy consumption. So when you look at it like that, 15 basis points is about 0.15%. When you look at it like that, it is a very, very small amount of energy it takes to secure the most valuable internet network in the world, or financial internet network in the world. And if it grows to a 10 trillion or $100 trillion asset, which, you know, all the bears right now probably said, yeah, good one, Mitch. It's dropped like 300 billion in the last week, as if it's going to go up there. So I still believe it's going to hit over $100,000 in this cycle. We have bearish tendencies right now. We're very much being pushed down into a capitulation stage, which is what's going on. And the bears are definitely stooping up lots more BTC at these prices. So I'm going to put that video up in just a second so you can have a look and hear it from Michael's own mouth. He sums it up a lot better than I do, and I tend to agree with him 100%.
If we look 20 years out, that probably the cost to secure $100 trillion, well, it might be 50 billion, but that would be 5 basis points. 5 basis points of the total value on the network, which makes it the least energy intensive, most efficient technology that we have perhaps discovered ever in the history of the human race. The world generates 160,000 terawatt hours of energy a year. Of that, 50,000 terawatt hours of energy is wasted, like 30%. Of that, 120 terawatt hours is used to run the entire Bitcoin network. To put that in perspective, that's 7.5 basis points of all the energy in the world. The truth of the matter is everything on Earth uses more power than a small country. If you take all the energy used in the Bitcoin network, it amounts to 25 basis points of all the wasted energy. So 0.25% of the wasted energy in the world offers the hope of a decent life to 8 billion people and solves an economic problem. But the 25 basis points is of the wasted energy, because the Bitcoin network is the bidder of last resort for all energy. So if you eliminated Bitcoin from the world and you robbed the billions of people of a decent chance at a decent life, then you wouldn't stop any waste. You're still going to waste 50,000 terawatt hours of energy. If you actually study the Bitcoin network, you'll find that there's about $1 trillion of assets under management. It's secured by about $2 billion worth of energy a year. Call it 20 basis points. 20 basis points of the energy in the network is the cost to secure it. Now, that energy probably costs about 2 cents a kilowatt hour. That's what's being paid for it, maybe. And in many cases, it is literally discarded energy and there is zero value for it. No one would pay anything for it. So its marginal value of the human race is literally zero. Whereas the marginal cost of consumer energy and industrial energy is 9 to 11 or 11 to 13 cents a kilowatt hour. Meanwhile, people that are destitute in the rest of the world have a chance at a decent life using marginal cast-off energy, and anybody would deny them that. If you're concerned about the environment, you're going to focus in on the dirty energy sources, and there's 100x or 1,000x bigger target in a lot of other areas. If you look at the energy consumption of the Bitcoin network, one of the characteristics of the proof of work network is that you only mine Bitcoin in a jurisdiction where the energy is cast off, stranded, or recycled, therefore marginally non-valuable. And you also only mine it in a place where you're politically welcome. So no one's going to set up a coal power plant in the middle of Central Park, Manhattan, and mine Bitcoin because it wouldn't be politically welcome. In fact, in any country where they were to decide that the Bitcoin miners are not welcome because they use energy, the miners are just going to move to a different country. One of the powerful characteristics of the Bitcoin network is the fact that it is constantly decentralizing to the most politically supportive jurisdiction. It's also decentralizing to the place where energy is the least expensive, probably the cleanest renewable energy, but certainly the least expensive energy anywhere in the world. The other thing that happens is the miners are constantly securing the network because they're upgrading the technology all the time. And the miners are, because they're capital intensive, they're raising capital from financiers in each of these political jurisdictions. And the combination of those things means that wherever mining's not welcome, it's going to move. And wherever it moves to, it's going to be by definition welcome. And it's going to be very harmonious with the energy grid. So I don't really think that the energy usage of Bitcoin represents a threat. I actually think the opposite, which is the energy usage of a proof of work crypto asset network creates 7 layers of security to the asset, which are absolutely critical. The first layer of security is they co-opt all of the energy producers worldwide to support the network, because you can sell energy at about 45 to 50 cents a kilowatt hour to the network. It's the highest value use of energy in the world, and anybody can plug into it. So that's very powerful. The second is it co-ops the technology producers. People are producing these SHA-256 ASICs, like the S19 miners. And that means all of the technology companies are continually building better equipment that's more energy efficient. The third is it co-ops politicians like the governor of Texas. There's no way the governor of Texas would be supporting Bitcoin except for the fact that Bitcoin mines in Texas are creating jobs and bringing tax revenues to Texas, and they're providing massive revenues to Texas energy producers. The fourth is it co-ops Wall Street, because Wall Street's financing all of these Bitcoin miners in a big way. And you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of multi-billion-dollar entities that are financing them. The fifth is it makes the security temporal. It takes 24 to 48 months to actually create a material Bitcoin mining operation. So if you wanted to attack the network, you've got to do it over the course of 36 months without 250 million people figuring out that you're going to do it. And then it also decentralizes it spatially, because you can't locate all of the Bitcoin mining in the world in one spot because you can't get enough energy in the one spot. And so you've got a natural spatial decentralization. After you finish with those 6 things, the 7th layer of security is the mining network. You end up with hundreds of miners that have invested billions, if not tens of billions of dollars in creating these security data centers or security nodes, which we call Bitcoin mines. And they've got so much vested interest in running the network. They've all got the support of their local politicians, their local governments. They're going to defend the network. There are 2 more dynamics very important. One, if I had $1 billion of gold in Manhattan, you'd be relying upon the mayor of New York City and the governor of New York and the country of the United States to secure your gold. But if you have $1 billion of Bitcoin in Manhattan, the security comes from a decentralized set of nodes in other jurisdictions, not even in the US. And even if the US, the mayor, and the governor attacked your money, you end up with someone in Iceland or Finland or China or Iran or Iraq or someplace in some cyberspace you can't even find that's defending your money. And so that's a very, very powerful idea. The last point I'll make is that 20 basis points of energy used to mine, to actually secure the network, that's exponentially decreasing. What's going on right now is the revenue and the block rewards in the Bitcoin network are falling every 4 years. So by the year 2035, 99% of the Bitcoin's been mined. And that means that the network starts to run only on transaction fees. The incentive of the network to burn energy will fall almost by an order of magnitude. And the efficiency of the SHA-256 ASICs will increase by an order of magnitude. So what you've got is a network that it's decentralizing itself and making itself exponentially more efficient.
We haven't had the backdrop of the office in here. So that was a really interesting video. I hope you got a lot from what Michael was saying. And it gives you great insight into, how this is actually FUD and complete and utter BS that governments are using to try and, control or suppress the price of Bitcoin. So as always, I've really enjoyed making this video for you. Please support the channel. Right now is an incredible buying opportunity. So sign up for BlockFi. There's a link below the video. Watch one of the webinars that I put. The Max White webinar talking about the greatest wealth transfer opportunity is right now, is a really, really good webinar to go and watch. And definitely download the Crypto Fast Start Guide and book a phone call with me. Jump on the phone with me. Let's talk about your portfolio. Let's talk about how we can really take advantage of where we're at in the market cycle. So yeah, do all of those things. Leave me a comment, leave me a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And until next time, I will see you in the next video. See ya.